Hello, this is my reflection of mice and men. First, I want to talk about literary criticism. So, I saw literary criticism of the book. I watched a YouTube video on the literary criticism, and the literary criticism they was talking about was was how was of characters like Curly's wife, um, Crooks, or the character of Candy, which which are three characters in the story of Mice and Men, and and the and and the literary criticism of it is that like John Steinbeck made these characters to represent the time period of the Great Depression, and the to show the Great Depression time period and how people people were treated during that time, like Crooks. He was the lyric criticism that I saw actually actually shown actually shown that Brooks was very like isolated from the rest of the people because of his color of his skin, and how he was like a black character, how he's like a black character, and the time period of like the book he was portrayed in that sense of the way in the book. And then the next character, the literary analysis that I watched on YouTube talked about was the character name of Candy, and how he went he went through a lot of stuff. He went through a workplace accident. He like got injured on the farm where he works at. And then the next thing is since he's like an older guy, they thought he thought people would start judging him, or aside, toss him aside, or in the book's terms, or John Steinbeck's terms, can him, canned him from the rest of the can him, or think he's worthless in the book. And then in the book, John Steinbeck portrays another character in the book. His name is, like in the book, wanted to kill Candy's dog, and from all the fear of getting like panned or rejected by people, since he's like an older guy, an older guy. Um, he didn't fight back when they actually shot and killed his dog. Shot and killed his dog, and that was and the next character we talking about. Another character we talking about is Curly's wife. A lot of people people in the book told George and Lenny about her, saying she's a trap. Don't mess with her. Don't mess with her. She could get you in a very deep deep trouble in the book, and she was betrayed in that way. And a lot of the characters just didn't want to like do anything or deal with her because she was married to the ranch owner's son, which was Curly, and then she later on she talks about how she wanted how she was wanted all this fame. She told later on in the book she tells Lenny about how like I could have been this famous person. I could have been fame, fortune, someone fame, fortune, acting, all these things. A man told me I could do it, and I wrote him a letter about it. He never contacted me back. He never contacted me back. That was one of the ways John Steinbeck showed like women were thought less than in that era in that era of time in the Great Depression, when they were going through the Great Depression. Women were thought of less than and a lesser form of like a man, because it was just a woman. And John Steinbeck shows like the the prejudice people of all that. And then she told another character, which I talked about earlier, Crooks, that she could get him hung up and strung from a tree if she wanted to. Basically meaning she could say basically she like he messed with her, which he definitely didn't do, to like try to get him hung up and strung from a tree, just because he wouldn't let her come into the barn where he said don't come in. So he had to let her in. And then and then and then next 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 John Steinbeck said said that a lot of people like John Steinbeck wants you to know about these three characters, because one is talking about more of the prejudice and racism side of the of the story, even in the small little ranch that they're in. And also he wanted you to know about women, how they were treated back then, and how their rights were affected in back then. And also they wanted you to know about Handy, because he was like an older person, and like people thought he people thought he was just old, and when people get old, they can't do as much, like ableist. They want you to know more. The literary criticism is what they wanted to know about ableist, and more of that literary criticism. If you want to see the full video of literary criticism that I brought my quotes from, It's down into the description of this video.